Alison Hayward has sent a letter of soaring eloquence. And worse still, she's enclosed a poem.
And?
She would expect me to reciprocate.
We start off with that scene of Harder worrying about what to write back to Alison. In the letter, he doesn't know much about poems. He doesn't want to lie again. He just worries that Alison will lose interest in him if he doesn't write a very impressive letter back to her.
The only poet I know is Handel.
Handel's a composer.
I cannot have her thinking me a fool, Fraser. All I want to do is prove myself worthy of her.
The way that Harder is stressing about writing a letter back to Alison, I think it showed Fraser a glimpse of Harder's intention. Like, he can see that Harder really didn't want to lie again, and that he considered Fraser's advice about stop lying and be true to yourself and be true to Alison.
Yeah. These are my favourites. Carried them with me throughout my time on the battlefield.
How did this assist you on the battlefield?
As a good friend, really a good friend in this scene, he took out that notebook of poems and gave it to Harder, and it just shows how much support that he gives to Harder and how he is supportive of Harder winning Alison's heart, even though Fraser likes Alison too, but at the same time he understands why Harder is interested in Alison. These two men are competing for the same woman, and they know the best is in her. Like, they see something special about her. So Fraser, like, you know what? This is your chance. I will help you. I don't, want to get my feelings get in Harder's way of winning Alison's heart. So he's like, helping him on the sideline and just hope for the best for Harder.
Where did you learn that?
My mother.
What was she like?
Pretty. Kind.
Augusta told Leonora the name of the certain flower, and Leonora left them, and this is when Charlotte started to ask Augusta about her mom. But it's interesting how she said of her mom pretty, so, she must have been a really pretty woman. But then she mentioned about kind, how she was kind. It just shows how much love and respect she had for her mom, and that she had this special relationship with her mom.
Sad.
Why sad?
She had a twin. Leonora's mother.
Leonora's mom was twinned with Augusta's mom, so that was a little twist. I did not expect that the first time I watched this episode.
But after Aunt Lucy died, it was as if my mother lost half of herself. Especially given the circumstances.
There's just some mystery going on about Leonora's mom, but it just shows how close they were, Leonora's mom and Augusta's mom. These two women, they were mothers to their own daughters, and both of these daughters lost their moms. It's a very tough situation, and these family deaths in this family are very sad, and it's just something that they don't often talk about within the house.
What happened? Nobody ever seems to speak of her.
That is because my uncle cannot bear to hear her name.
Father! Look, it's Father!
Leonora was super happy to see her father around, so it just showed that he doesn't really take a lot of breaks or doesn't spend enough time with his, so it was very unexpected for Leonora to see her dad outside of his office.
Mr. Colburn!
I won't disturb you.
How is Hannibal, sir?
Recovering. Thank you. He sends his regards.
Be sure to send him mine in return.
There's a little inside joke that they have with one another, especially when Charlotte said, "Oh, send Hannibal my regards to him." It's a bit funny there, but you see at first like he didn't want to disturb them, but Charlotte continued the conversation and asked about the horse, and like he started to walk towards them, and it just showed that he might want to hang out with them for a bit.
We're having a picnic, Father, and learning about wildflowers. Say you'll join us, please.
There is no need, Uncle. I am certain that you would rather do almost anything else.
Augusta, she doesn't have the greatest relationship with her uncle. You can see that Leonora, she seemed to be more forgiving toward her father. Like she tried again and again to convince her dad to hang out with them more often. You know, there's a big test if Mr. Holborn gonna hang out with his or not.
I could spare a few moments.
Okay, Mr. Colburn is her boss, right? I guess it's kind of relatable because, you know, managers, supervisor, bosses, like they should have like this open door policy where the employees can freely talk about things that concern them or if they need help on something, and, you know, the bosses listen and consider their feedback or listen to their concern or whatnot. But this is like a little bit more personal than just a work relationship. And when Mr. Holborn looked toward Charlotte and Charlotte looked back at him, it was that look of like, remember what we talked about spending more time with his. And when he joined in this group activity, it just showed that not only he listened to Charlotte advice, he considers it very highly. Like he respects her and respects her words and her advice. Leonora was really happy her dad joined in. Charlotte looked over to Leonora and she knows this means so much to her. Augusta was shocked. She was like, "There's no way you're joining in, Uncle." But there's a turning point for Mr. Holborn as a parent and as an uncle.
What has Miss Hayward been teaching you this morning, Augusta?
Not a great deal. As you arrived, she was asking about Aunt Lucy.
Miss Markham was saying her mother and your late wife were close.
Yes. Inseparable.
This is a hot table discussion. Charlotte really didn't want to get in trouble. She's like, "Oh shoot, this freaking teenager put me on the spot." And you can see a little bit of like this awkwardness from Mr. Holborn. Like he really didn't want to talk about his wife and what happened in the family. It's just a very sensitive topic for him to talk about. But he gave Charlotte like the short statement answer, just straight to the point. He doesn't really tell much about what happened to his wife. It just showed that he's still struggling to talk about it freely.
Aunt Lucy often used to stay with us. Somehow she always felt happier in London than
You were
she
just a
did here.
child, Augusta. Your memories cannot be relied upon.
Perhaps she felt as I do, trapped.
We have discussed this. You will be introduced to society when you are ready.
So maybe Augusta has some common things that she can relate to her Aunt Lucy, but she must know some things that happened in the past before Aunt Lucy died, before Mr. Holborn's wife died. And Mr. Holborn, like, you know, putting her in her place, like, you know, this is not the place and time to talk about your aunt, who is Mr. Holborn's wife. It's just the timing is just not the greatest, but at the same time, Mr. Holborn doesn't want to talk about this at all.
When will that be, Uncle? Since you seem so determined to avoid the company of those around you. And I'm 30.
Miss Markham, I'm sure your uncle only has your best interests at heart.
Mr. Corbin had that angry parent face toward Augusta. That's so obvious. I caught that. But you can see Miss Markham, Augusta, is ready to step out into society. I think she's just ready to be independent and free from the being in hostage at her uncle's house. She just had enough of living at her uncle's house and just being trapped and being ruled by her uncle's rules and laws and expectation of how she should be, how she should behave. An uncle is still a family member, right? But at the same time, it's not your dad, is not your mom. So I guess I'm missing that. She's missing the love of her parents, and she just can't wait to leave her uncle's house and just start a new life and do whatever she decided to do.
Look, Father, I found knapweed and...
Cornflowers. Centauria.
Centauria? That is a peculiar name.
They're named after Chiron, the centaur.
Mr. Holborn is very engaging with Leonora and grabbing that flower and telling her the name of that flower. You can see that he has some knowledge about the different kinds of flowers.
In the myth, he used them to heal his wounds from the poisoned arrows.
Do you really think that would work?
I don't know. Should we find some poisoned arrows and put it to the test?
I would sooner not.
Charlotte mentioned about this myth that is related to the flower, and I don't know if I'm reading it right, but the way that Mr. Holborn reacted to the myth story, to me, in my opinion, maybe he was impressed that she knew about that story. I don't know, but he started to look at her more often in this episode.
Cornflowers are my favourite.
Then you should have them. Let's have it.
Thank you, sir.
They had some giggles in this conversation, and this is like the first time in many months that they laughed and had this lively conversation going on, so it's a good sign. What a gesture that Mr. Holborn did. He gave Charlotte those flowers. Just a sweet, sweet gesture, and it was something that Charlotte didn't expect. I think Mr. Holborn didn't expect for himself to do that to her, but it was just like in the moment, and good for him. She accepted the flowers from him. And Leonora, she coming to that age where she understands more and more about life, and she's not stupid. She knows that there's something special that might be starting to happen between Charlotte and Mr. Holborn. And he see after he gave Charlotte the flowers, he looked away, wiped his hand on his pant, his leg, and Charlotte just looked down, and just that moment of just like catching some air, and just try to stay calm and not make it obvious in front of the kids.
I confess I cannot understand why you see me as a threat, Esther.
Esther decided to be on this adult sitting adventure with Clara, but it's so obvious Clara was like in the middle of early labor. It doesn't look normal, but you can see Esther really didn't want to accompany her, but she wanted to keep an eye on her, and she definitely not enjoying this babysitting adventure with Clara.
You have a wealthy husband who loves you. You have a vast estate. You have everything a woman could want.
Clara's like trying to be on the good side of Esther, trying to gain back a friendship with her, and she's just like, why are you giving me a hard time? Like, why you so mean like Edward is to me? Clara definitely trying to gain some form of forgiveness, I guess, from Esther.
Whereas I am penniless, friendless, and carrying the child of a man who despises me.
Oh, stop. You'll bring me to tears.
It is the truth.
You see, Esther really didn't want to be in the same room as Clara, but what Clara said, like, part of it true, but at the same time, if I were her, I wouldn't really, like, talk bad about myself, but you can see, you know, Clara trying hard to gain a friendship back with Esther.
You don't know the meaning of the word. You are duplicitous to your bones, always have been. You're incapable of empathy or love. Nothing will convince me otherwise. I shall be watching you like a hawk, and as soon as this child is born, I will see to it that you are thrown out.
Esther doesn't believe any word that is coming out of Clara's mouth, and you see how fierce she is. Like, you know, at first she was just sitting back, like, really hairless, and then all of a sudden she just changed her tone and became very serious and kind of like almost yelling toward Clara. But does that mean that the baby will stay at the house and they will kick Clara out? That's another question, you know, the future of this child.
Thank you for your letter. It was...
Overwhelming.
Yes. The very word I was going to employ.
So it looks like, sound like he passed the test with flying colors so far. Technically, he's still lying to her, but at the same time, he is learning some poems from the book that Fraser gave him.
I ne'er was struck before that hour with love so sudden and so sweet. Will you not complete the verse you sent?
I could not do it justice as you have, Miss Hayward.
Okay, he's very persuasive, like, he like sways her with his words. Does that make sense? He tried to like go around the bush, so he, you know, doesn't have to memorize or finish the poem, which he doesn't know the words to that poem. What a sneaky way to go around it.
Or if I may, Alison.
William.
But he did like capture her heart once again when he asked her if he could call her by Alison, and she agreed with that by calling him William. So things are getting a little bit more personal, more intimate between these two.
Miss Hayward, is your sister not able to join you?
I fear her employer has kept her back.
We may have to delay the ascent. Captain Carter, follow me.
Colonel Lennox is expecting Charlotte to join him for this event. He did give Charlotte that bouquet of flowers that Fraser picked up on Lennox's behalf. So Lennox was expecting Charlotte to show up outside of the house and go off with him. Fraser, he has somewhat like a serious look on his face. You can tell that maybe he was like watching Carter and Alison talk before he walked over to them with Lennox.
Captain Fraser?
Miss Hayward, do I gather you are pleased with Captain Carter's letter?
It is as if he can see into my soul. He's both a hero and a poet.
Interesting though, this is crazy. I mean, technically he's kind of like playing the matchmaker between Alison and Carter. While, you know, he interested in Alison as well. I don't know, it's just a messed up situation, and it's kind of like he overstepping in the relationship, you know, but not in a rude way. I don't know how to say it. He just like, he had this like, confidential information, like he knows what's going on between Alison and Carter in the relationship. He asked her about, you know, oh, how did the letter go? Like, you know, like what a way to start a conversation. Like, really, you have to ask the girl about how's your relationship going with Carter by asking about the letter. And she's like, you know, praises Carter, like, oh my goodness, like, he is the one, like, he understands me. And you see that little smile, that little smirk on his face when she said that Carter can, like, read her soul. So it's kind of like, yeah, I know, you know, he impresses you, but those were my words, like, you know, it's actually to Fraser, but Carter's, like, being the puppet to represent Fraser, if that makes sense. So Fraser like, you know, she would like me if she knew that I like her too, you know. So kind of like a little recognition of Fraser that, you know, hey, if it was like the other way around, Allison would have fallen for Fraser instead of Harder.
A hero?
He spoke of his brave actions at Bidassoa.
Did he know?
Then her tone changed about how Harder is a hero and how he told her about that battle in that location, and you see the change in Fraser face. Like at first he was like joking with her and teasing her about her relationship with Harder, and then he had this serious look after what she told him about Harder being a hero in that battle, and she's like, what now? Like another red flag. And he's like, I told him to be honest with Allison, and he basically, you know, kind of like broke the promise, and didn't listen to Fraser. It just continued to lie to Allison. At the same time, he is hurting Allison, because once Allison finds out that Harder had been lying to her about himself, you know, that could bring a lot of hurt to her in her heart, and I'm pretty sure Fraser doesn't want Allison to get hurt.
This has been the best afternoon I can remember.
What a tragically dull life you must have led, child.
You've enjoyed yourself too. At one point, I almost saw you smile.
That is quite impossible. Augusta is incapable of smiling.
Good for Mr. Heybourne. He took the time out of his work to spend more time with his, and I truly believe this was like the turning point for him. And thanks to Charlotte, she talked to him and supported him to be a better father and a better uncle at the same time, and to lead this home with love and support and wisdom about things in life. Like he had that great potential to be a great leader of the household and a great father and uncle at the same time. It's just a happy family picture, and just seeing them walking all back to the house after they're done with the picnic gathering. It's just a happy family picture, like that possibility, you know, for the future. Leonora's like, you know, so happy, and Charlotte already knew how much this means to Leonora, and especially Augusta too. And I think Augusta still a little bit shocked that her uncle joined in the fun and hung out with them. And I'm pretty sure this moment made Charlotte proud of Mr. Heybourne, not only as a boss, but as a friend.
Oh, I must go. I'm expected at the fair.
I wish we could go to the fair.
We've kept you too long.
Not at all. Goodbye.
Bye.
You see, Leonora is ready to explore outside of the house property and socialize with other people in town. She's ready for that, and Augusta ready to step into society. I think it's just a matter of Mr. Heybourne if he's ready to step back into society. He's been this mysterious, quiet man for some few years now, ever since his wife died. So stepping back into society for him would be a big deal, if people will, you know, look at him and be like, oh, where have you been and whatnot. Those gossip, those rumors swirling around about him and his family have been going on for some time now.
Until tomorrow then.
Until tomorrow.
Charlotte is leaving her work for the day on a positive note. She's like, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. So she was happy that the family had time together as a family, and more than that, she was proud of Mr. Heybourne to not only listen to her advice, but actually like engage in this school activity that they were doing at the picnic, and get to hang out with the kids and just be present with them, basically. Mr. Heybourne, when he said like until tomorrow, then it sounded like he anticipated for tomorrow, like he looked forward to tomorrow, and excited to see Charlotte again. Whatever happened in this day, it definitely stirred something inside of him, not only to be a better father and uncle, but I think he saw something in Charlotte, and I think he considered her as a friend. I think that employee-employer relationship is becoming a little bit more personal between Charlotte and Mr. Heybourne, and his seem to like Charlotte more now. They're getting along with Charlotte and even Mr. Heybourne. So this is like really a turning point, I would say. We'll see, what happened from here to the next time we see Charlotte at the back at the Mr. Heybourne house with his. There will always be something that's gonna happen, interfere with that family. But for now, like everything is good, and I think it's just nice of a turning point to see that, and Charlotte played a role in that in a good way. That house have been quiet for some time now, and laughter is just coming back, smiles are coming back. The joy is coming back to the house, and I think that's a good thing. We will see the last 10 minutes of episode 3 in the next video, and after that will be episode 4. And as you can tell, I'm wearing all my festive sweater this month in December, and will continue to do so. But if you haven't subscribed, then you are a real Sanditon fan, regardless of what happened. Subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, give a thumbs up. If you're a hater, go away. Hope you're having a good day wherever you are. I'll see you very soon for the last part of episode 3 review. Bye.